Welcome to FilMyWatchlist. My name is Richard Keeney. Today I'm going to be counting down 10 must-see modern cult horror films. Now this doesn't necessarily mean horror movies about cults, although they're definitely not excluded. I didn't include films like Hereditary or Get Out, for example, because they did so well in the box office. But if you have any horror movies in mind that you think I should see, or you think more people deserve to seek out, mention them in the comments below. Though they have success and critical acclaim, these are films that I think deserve a much bigger audience. Number 10, The Witch. The Witch is a intoxicatingly atmospheric and eerie period piece. The use of its setting contributes so much to the overall terror and dread of the film that it's a masterstroke by director Robert Eggers. The complete lack of any sort of safety apparatus or protection in the form of law enforcement, coupled with the fact that the film begins with the protagonist's family getting cast out of the one safe haven in their locale, make The Witch thoroughly unsafe feeling. There's a complete lack of any sort of security to these characters, and the spooky forest they live beside definitely doesn't help any nerves being calmed. The Witch is one of those films that really burrows deep under your skin and just stays there for weeks on end. There might be one or two jump scares and they are effective, but it's the suspense and dread and dark tension of the film that make this a weird and thoroughly unsettling experience. As with the majority of A24's horrors, The Witch is a must-see, but it's unique in the way many modern horrors aren't. This has a lot to do with its setting, also with its fantastic tonal direction. Despite some of the naysayers or the fact that the period setting might turn off viewers, I would definitely implore you to still check it out and see for yourself. Number 9, Under the Shadow. Whereas many horror films recently have utilized metaphorical horror, getting at the terror and dread of personal conflict, Under the Shadow uses this to sell the horrific effect a war can have on a country and on the people. Both deeply illuminating as well as a terrific genre piece. The mother-daughter relationship is extremely well eked out. There's a brilliant monster in the film. It is unique and really unsettling. Under the Shadow, a UK-Iranian co-production, is definitely worthy of a much larger audience. I think it kind of slipped under the radar. I'm going to definitely recommend that you check Under the Shadow out. Number 8, Ghost Stories. Subscribers won't be surprised to see this film on my list. I've already done a review of the film, and it did feature on a list of underseen films of 2018 that I put out a few months ago. I still feel that it didn't get the sort of traction that it deserved. There is undeniably some comparisons to be made with the likes of Black Mirror with the anthology format, but the use of horror in this anthology is so effectively well done, and it isn't used as a crutch just to change the topic to keep things fresh. It does keep the pacing of the film really tight, and the momentum of the film increases really effectively. With some nightmarish imagery, some great performances. I love the opening story in the asylum. There is unbelievable use of shadow and a delightfully terrifying insistence on going into those places that the audience really don't want the characters to go into, really pushing the boundaries of our fear of things that go bump in the night. I think the film is formally near perfect and extremely character driven. There is a multitude of setups within the script that are paid off extremely effectively. Nothing really falls by the wayside. If you see something that seems significant, you're guaranteed to have a satisfying answer, or at least some well thought out answer before the end of the film. I think Ghost Stories is one of the best British horror films in recent years. 7, Tale of Two Sisters. A lot of you won't be surprised to see a South Korean film on this list. I absolutely love South Korean cinema, and A Tale of Two Sisters is no different. It's a really well-directed, affecting character drama that just so happens to be a horror film on top of that. It works extremely well as a haunted house genre piece, with some extremely memorable imagery and a great use of suspense and atmosphere. A must-see for fans of Asian horror. I think part of what makes Asian horror so effective, especially to Western audiences, is that the majority of them are steeped in strong referential connection to Asian mythology, making them all that more terrifying. Western audiences, Tale of Two Sisters is definitely worth your time. Jeremy Saulnier's Green Room. Following on from his indie success with crime thriller Blue Ruin, Green Room is a taut and insanely intense violent thriller. The violence feels real, the violence feels disgusting and really, really unsettling. There are some harrowing scenes of gruesome violence, but it's such a tightly directed and well written film with a extremely strong late great Anton Yelchin, Imogen Poots and Joe Cole, not to mention a extremely against type and fantastic supporting performance by Patrick Stewart, who plays the head of a neo-Nazi gang. Green Room is a highly strung thriller that can be funny when it needs to be, but is unrelentingly intense as well. It uses claustrophobia to brilliant effect, and there's some really, really great visual storytelling. Even the opening sets these characters in a stage of desperation where they're going from gig to gig, having to siphon fuel from other vehicles in order to get their tour bus just to the next concert. It really feels like they're out on their own in this scary vision of the US that heightens the atmosphere and the tension for things to come. It works as a thriller just as well as it works as a music film and a fantastic addition to the horror genre. Green Room is one of my favourite cinematic experiences in recent years, and I guarantee if you stick it on, you're bound to enjoy it. Produced by Guillermo del Toro, directed by J.A. Bayona, The Orphanage is a ghost story done right. Sure, it might not be filled with jump scares, but it's a chilling and really emotionally resonant film that uses its setting to great effect, and the typical horror trope of the missing child is extremely well worn out. There's some terrifying imagery, grossly unsettling, and one scene in which the protagonist plays a childlike game is a fantastic set piece. It's a unique ghost story and definitely one of the best Spanish horrors that I've ever seen. Number 4, It Follows. Another A24 entry on our list. It Follows uses a bizarre, anachronistic 80s setting to sell a modern horror story and make it feel thoroughly alien in its setting. Michael Monroe is fantastic in the lead performance, but the direction of David Robert Mitchell is definitely the film's selling point. There's this amazing use of 360 shots that sell the film's concept perfectly. This feeling of someone that could be following you at any moment and you don't know who it is heightens the paranoia of the film and makes it this really intense experience. I've heard some people say maybe it's not as scary as it's made out to be, but I found the film thoroughly intense. The soundtrack on top of this visual direction is unhinged and crazy and really bombastic to the point that it would nearly cause palpitations. It's really, really intense filmmaking. I love It Follows. There's a great analogous metaphor going on with the film, but it doesn't hinge on this either. The ending is extremely strong, and there is a fantastic set piece in a swimming pool that blew my mind. I've heard the film described as an urban legend that never really existed, and it feels like that. It feels authentically of those childlike scary rumors that get spread around. It Follows is completely successful in making you feel like its characters aren't safe. David Robert Mitchell's omission of the characters' parents is extremely effective. They're always off screen, just at work or not there to offer assistance or support to their children that are increasingly in danger. The film says a lot about adolescence, our taboo approach to sex, especially within a certain time period. And I think it's one of the strongest and most unique horror films, certainly in terms of visuals, in recent years. I absolutely love the film. Kill List. Kill List is a absolutely incredibly dark British horror film following two hitmen who find themselves in the dark, disparate web of violence and conspiracy. Kill List is terrifying. It looks like we're looking at something wasn't intended for an audience. It feels dangerous and awful and disturbing, and it's really, really fucked up. I absolutely adore this film for its really, really strong direction. There's a set piece in a tunnel with this unbelievable use of shadow and light, and it's just panic inducing. I love Kill List, and Ben Wheatley, he's absolutely incredible. Number 2, The Babadook. Its 2014 breakout, The Babadook, is an extremely unique and confident debut and unsettling child performance, and Essie Davis's incredibly strong performance. The Babadook deals with depression, loss, grief in incredibly profound ways, whilst also having iconic monsters in modern horror. There's some incredible visuals, amazing shots of the protagonist not being able to get rest, sleep flying by that really become increasingly frightening as you notice this character spiraling into madness. Babadook uses its setting to incredible effect. There isn't a shot out of place. The Babadook is one of my favourite horror films of all time. I love this film. Thomas Alfredson's Let the Right One In. Based on the book by John Adventist, Let the Right One In came at a time when vampire films were saturating the market. Vampires had become a bit of a joke, but this film is unbelievably intense and takes its subject seriously in the most refreshing way. It's dark and really, really disturbing. The relationship between Oscar and Ellie is thoroughly affecting. You have a monster, violent and dangerous, but isn't beyond help either, and has the capacity for good, which makes their character all the more interesting and well written. Let the Right One In is uncompromisingly dark and violent, but its mixture with warmth and even a bit of humour, thoroughly powerful and incredibly well directed. Thomas Alfredson's Let the Right One In is definitely one of the strongest horror films in decades. If you'd like to see more movie reviews and movie lists, subscribe to FilMyWatchlist and check out our other content. We also have a Patreon up and running, so if you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by clicking on this link below. Even if you're subscribing a small amount a month, I'll happily make any sort of video that you'd like. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate all your comments in the past few weeks, and thank you for your patience regarding my lack of upload in that time. See you in the next one. Cheers.